Married to Addiction update. For those of you that have kind of followed the videos, my ex-wife left a bunch of drugs out at her house, narcotics. She is an addict. I knew for years that she was an addict. I tried to keep the family together. I guess that's what you can call it. Enabler. On September 29th, my teenage daughter attempted suicide. September 29th, 2024, attempted suicide using mom's drugs. There was a lot of yelling and screaming involved. Grandma, her mom was involved. The boyfriend, I think, was involved. It was bad. Very bad. And she ended up in the ER, which led her to a juvenile mental health suicide facility about an hour away, which led to me filing a restraining order. My ex-wife showed up to court high, like literally like on something and without a lawyer. She was so high that while standing in front of the judge said, "I'm going to extend the restraining order for a couple of weeks until you can get your lawyer." And my ex-wife, being high as a kite, said, "What's a TRO?" So the judge said, "I'm going to extend the TRO until we can get both lawyers here." And my ex-wife, who went to Vassar College for undergrad and Georgetown for her master's degree, she graduated some kind of cum laude. I think summa cum laude is the highest. So 4.0, master's, Georgetown. Went to private school from 6th grade all the way through her master's. She was so high in court that she had to ask the judge why she was there. Think about that. She had to say, "I'm sorry." She literally raised her hand. She goes, "What's a TRO?" And the judge, Judge Crystal Livonius, looks down at her and says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, what did you ask?" My ex-wife responds, "What's a TRO?" And the judge went, "It's a temporary restraining order." It's literally the reason we were in court. Jesus. So it got extended, and my ex-wife checked into rehab. She didn't show up to court, checked into rehab. She spent the whole holidays. She never got a hold of us. She never asked to see the girls. Never sent any word. Never did anything. She gets out. Doesn't tell me she's out. You know, my little 7-year-old's asking where mom is for the holidays. And then she wants to get a hold of me. Guys, I looked up the statistics. And this goes for women too. If you're married to addiction, or your parents get addicted, or you're whatever, man, if you can get away from the addict, I'm telling you right now, get away from the addict. And she said, "Okay, I'm out. Let's go back to week on, week off. I'm done with rehab, thanks." I'm not doing that. I told her no. Because here's what you want. You want 90 days over 90 meetings, called a 90 and 90. You want to know her OHP plan, that's outpatient. You want to know her recovery and addiction plan, safety plan basically. You want to know if she is in recovery. Is she changing her environment, which she didn't. She went right back to the same drug addicts and alcoholics that she was around before. You want to know if she is in the amends process, like making amends. No, none of that. She said, "I only want to talk about the girls." I said, "Great, let's talk about our teenager's suicide hospital diagnosis from the hospital that you put her in." I have 3 daughters. My ex-wife has now hospitalized 2 of them. I said, "Great, let's talk about the suicide hospital and the diagnosis." "I don't want to talk about that." It's okay. I said, "Let's talk about your, boyfriend that triggers her suicide. It's literally in the medical diagnosis." My teenage daughter has 2 major triggers. Number 1 is the guy's name, because she had to hide the guy from me for a couple of years because her mom made her, which is mental health abuse on a 12-year-old. So being told his name triggers her suicide. And being asked to keep a secret triggers her suicide. And my ex-wife didn't want to hear all that. And she still wanted the kids. I even offered her 2 hours of supervised visitation. I said, "I'll be the supervisor. I'll just sit on a bench at the park." Nope. She's like, I'll just pick them up and take them. I said, no, you're not. And it's been about 3 weeks since she checked out of rehab. Still don't know the rehab she was in because she never called us to go to family days. So there's 2 things going on right now. It's weird that her lawyer hasn't called mine. So 1, she's using again. And 2, I don't think her lawyer wants to deal with her. Lawyers do that. Lawyers get tired of their clients. This is called purgatory. I'm just keeping the girls for safety. Here's the summation, because I don't like making long videos anymore. If you are around addiction, mom, dad, maybe even your child, but if you're married to addiction, get out. I have no divorce in my family tree. No divorce. And I just thought, this is what you do. You stay together. I had a pair of grandparents that didn't even sleep in the same room. It wasn't a secret that they really didn't love each other, but you didn't divorce. And that's how it was in Southern Arkansas. And so, you know, when she got fired from a private school it was a drug issue. She got fired from her second private school last fall because they found a stash of alcohol and pills. And this little private school that she ran, it's called the Cornerstone Preschool. It's here in Denton. You know? And I don't know if she's fired there or not, if they're going to let her come back. I have no idea. You know, and then my 3rd child was born. They had to hook her up to methadone and drain her. And the way they do it with babies is you can't tell how many drugs are inside the baby. So you just assume the worst. You just assume it's heroin. Because she wasn't acting like a normal newborn. So a little bitty 8-pound baby girl got rushed to the NICU and hooked up to needles and tubes. And they injected her with the highest dose of methadone that you can give a baby. And then they got to bring her down. Those pictures are lovely to look at my newborn hooked up to all those needles and tubes and machines. And this is what the addict will do. They're professional victims. They're professional liars. Everything is a misunderstanding. You know, nobody else understands. They are professionals at lying by omission. They are Olympic athletes at lying by omission. They'll tell you just enough to where it's kind of the truth, but they'll leave out 90% of it. They'll go, oh, yeah, I'm going to my mom's. Well, what they don't tell you is that they're also going to stop by their boyfriends, cheat on you, do some drugs, go to mom, have some wine. Mom enables everything and mom doesn't care. Then they're going to come back to you smelling like alcohol, and they'll say, well, I went to my mom's and had some wine. Well, that's true. They did go to their mom's and have some wine, but they left out all the rest of it. They'll say that they're on prescriptions. That's true. She was on prescriptions, but she was buying them illegally on Craigslist. And those drug dealers threatened to turn us into the cops. This is life with an addict. And this is what they do. I found out way after the fact that she had managed to... I was an oil driller for years in my 30s, so I was gone. And my kids would get these small checks from their grandparents, you know, for their birthdays. You know, $20, $25, typical little kid stuff. And my wife would cash them, buy drugs, because that's what addicts do. And they just don't tell you. And I didn't know that they got the checks, and the grandparents never said anything to me later. You know, the grandparents put a little check in there, you know, in a gift card, or like in a postcard or whatever, birthday card. God, I love you. Here's a little pocket money. I love you, Ellie. I love you, Lucy. I love you, Joey. Nope. My wife just took it and cashed it. God, man, she ordered drugs from everywhere, dude. The Silk Road, the black internet, the black market, China, Craigslist drug dealers, and then she got doctors that would write her any prescription she wanted. It's called prescription hopping, or I think it's called pharmacy hopping. You find a way to get drugs from multiple pharmacies. Man, oh my God, they're so clever, and especially if they have rich parents the way she does, and they went to fancy Ivy League schools the way that she did. That's the update, man. 108 days straight of me as a solo father. It's exhausting. It's worth it. And that's what's going on in my life right now. It's crazy, dude. If you can sever yourself from an addict, just do it, because they're not going to change and they'll drain you and kill you. Love you all, man. Follow my journey. Like and subscribe.